After thinking for a long time and in his current breathless state, Lin Moyu still dared to answer, and said that even though he felt a little scared from whatever he would face at the hands of Kuang Sheng and the great opportunity he could give him, he would still do his best and try this matter. He knew that he would achieve nothing if he chose to stay in a safe position, and if he did not succeed in what he was doing, he would just quietly and calmly accept his own death, and instead of thinking about it more honestly. The old man's respect for Lin Moyu seemed to increase even more after hearing his answer. He smiled at her and laughed as he asked her again, what if he had to face two situations where he had to choose and put his life in great danger just to achieve whatever the reward would be at the end? Despite the old man's threats to Lin Moyu, he still chooses to follow him directly and show his dedication and determination to have the strength of will to overcome any trials he must face in order to possess such a powerful power, which is why he answers his teacher that he will stick to his previous decision and determination. Lin Moyu knew that even though he had no idea what he was going to face, he still chose to take on this challenge no matter what. Furthermore, even though no one knew how strong the so-called super god level powerhouse level of being a professional might be, he still knew that he really needed his courage, and it had to be stronger than his current self and his future potential. The old man seemed even more pleased with Lin Moyu's answer and laughed at it. He told her that her tagline wasn't that bad anymore and praised her for the good she was showing in front of him, now because he liked her tagline courage. He just continued to let Lin Moyu know what they were going to do next. Since Lin Moyu's divine power level tagline was so high, he changed his previous plan and wanted to inform Lin Moyu of his newly formed plan to strengthen him and ensure that he would be able to achieve super god level powerhouse status in the future. Kuang Sheng began to explain that even though all the parts that could be obtained from that monster were considered the same as bloodthirsty python meat, there were different effects that they could give to those who ate it. He informed Lin Moyu that the best part of that monster was its brain itself, followed by the meat from its heart, and finally its other parts. What they needed most now was to get the best part from the bloodthirsty python for Lin Moyu to eat. Their only problem now is that humanity has not been able to obtain a python brain for a very long time, and even fresh meat from its heart is very difficult to obtain, requiring one to go through severe trials just to obtain it, especially since that monster is so powerful. Why did the old man have to fight it just to get a small piece of it? Also, since Lin Moyu had already eaten the bloodthirsty python meat before his second job change, it seemed like they would have to cut Lin's food back here, especially since his body would not be able to handle the effects of it since he was only 6 blasts away from its intense energy tagline. Also, due to the situation they were facing, Lin Moyu needed to eat the python meat right at the beginning of his second job change to ensure that it would have a good effect on his body and if he wanted to become a super god level powerhouse in the future. The old man explained to him that he needed to use the bloodthirsty python's meat attributes and taglines if he wanted to increase his tagline attributes to a level that no one had ever seen before. At the same time, Lin Moyu could also upgrade his tagline profession at the same time as he was undergoing his second job change. Besides, it would be better if he could awaken new talents like his powerful taglines in the present. If he followed this kind of method, he would be able to lay a very solid foundation for himself in the future that would help him achieve the status of a super god level powerhouse. Despite the great effect of this and the certainty that it would happen, there was only one thing he needed to think about because the associated risk of what he was doing was very high, where it depended only on his luck what his fate would be with having 50% Hansa to die because of the strength of the python meat effect. Even though Lin Moyu was still panting and tired from what he had experienced earlier from eating python meat, he was still strong and knew that he could overcome that. He let his teacher know that he believed in himself and always considered him lucky, so he was just considering whatever would happen to his future. Kuang Sheng seemed to really like everything he heard from Lin Moyu. and he was just saying to himself that it seemed like the old man Bai Shen was really lucky with this disciple of his. He had good feelings for Lin Moyu, so he made him wait and told him to stay in that place for a while because he was going to leave first to get a piece of python heart meat just for him. This old man didn't waste time anymore, and after saying goodbye to his student, he jumped very high using his power, where he immediately headed to his planned destination while laughing loudly. Lin Moyu was just amazed because the old man took action so quickly and immediately left after hearing his answer. Lin Moyu began to worry, but not for his master, because he knew that as a god-level ancient relic, the bloodthirsty python would definitely face danger even if it was as strong as his teacher, especially since you can't beat the strength of that old man. His heart was calm again, and he was sure that the old man would be able to return with the python's heart meat he had promised. He knew to himself that it seemed like the only thing he should do in the situation was to stay and wait for the old man to return with his little gift for him. He just thanked the old man for what he would do just for his sake. At the same time, his condition was also starting to improve, and the effect of the meat he had eaten was already going through his body and releasing his attribute. In fact, the meat he ate was able to increase his strength, physique, agility, and spirit by 1,800 points, which you still can't believe, and you can't compare the effect to the magic potions he drank in the past. After waiting for 7 days, Lin Moyu continued his training until his master was able to return. But upon his arrival, he was enveloped in a thick black energy that was incomparable to what Lin Moyu had felt from this old man in the past. As he returned, he was panting, and his fatigue was immediately evident. In addition, this old man's face and entire body were covered in bruises and wounds, with blood still flowing from his mouth and head. It was noticeable that Kuang Sheng seemed to have gone through great hardships fighting the bloodthirsty python just to bring back a gift for his student, where he placed the meat that he had worked so hard to obtain and fight its owner, which he placed in a golden box that was made just to maintain its freshness and not lose its effect over time. This old man did not speak any more and just smiled at Lin Moyu to let him know that it was fine. As soon as he arrived, he immediately threw the golden box containing the meat without saying anything to his disciple, where Lin Moyu immediately accepted and caught it. This golden box contained a strange energy that enveloped it and kept it sealed. Lin Moyu did not interfere with his teacher's current state, which was the old man's wish. This was his sacrifice for the younger generation, and he considered it only right that he should go through such hardship just to get that very important meat for Lin Moyu. He began to inform him that inside that box was the python heart meat, which he needed to remember to eat at the very beginning of his second job change. He also reminded Lin Moyu that he would be going through the unpleasant situation he faced in the past again, and even though what he would experience would be uncomfortable, he should bear it and enjoy the moment at the same time. Kuang Sheng laughed at Lin Moyu and said that he didn't know if he could watch Lin Moyu suffer in the future. But despite this, he still wished him to succeed and stay alive in his difficult time of eating meat. Lin Moyu was not amused by the old man's joke and remained silent because of the situation he faced after eating it just a few days ago, where he faced severe pain that he could not explain. But suddenly, the mind of Kuang Sheng shifted to another place as he turned around and sensed some people wondering about what they were doing there. Lin wanted to know about why Kuang Sheng was suddenly surprised. The master started explaining that some of the Empire's elders have shown up inside the bloodthirsty Crimson Realm with the aim of snagging some python meat for the main ingredient of their mystical elixirs. But the man knew that these elders were in for some really bad luck this time, because the beasts were already angered after the attack done by Kuang Sheng, and their temper was anything but pleasant. Suddenly, Kuang Sheng engulfed himself with the psychic energy, while grabbing Lin along with him inside his force field, as Lin's body started feeling light as it was floating in the air. The master started dashing towards the elders with insane speeds. And Lin, even when he was not doing any effort, it was hard for him to even keep up with the pressure, as he realized that this was the speed of a master-class warrior. As the scene shifts, we come to a different location inside the Crimson Realm, where a giant ancient boat was floating around in midair with multiple elderly-looking people in full robes. As soon as Kuang Sheng and Lin reached the place, the boy asked his master if all the elders of the empire were god-level warriors. But Kuang Sheng just smiled, telling Lin that they were just fake gods. Lin was confused by this new term of false god, but Kuang Sheng was laughing continuously while telling Lin that the individuals who are struck at level 89 and rely on a lot of potions to reach level 90 are called false gods, as they did not organically grow themselves and cannot integrate their skills or even train them properly. According to Kuang Sheng, there was a world of difference between the false gods of level 90 and a real god-like warrior of level 90. And even when they are both of the same level, a true god-like warrior can crush many false gods with ease, even without breaking a sweat. While talking, Yan Guangsheng brings our Liu to the ship of that empire and lands directly on the ship. When all those old people see Yan Guangsheng there, some of them have a smile on their face while some people are serious. Those who had a smile on their face laugh and say that at last we have encountered Crazy God. Upon hearing this, Kuang Sheng said, "This time, you must fight your own battle. I will observe alongside my disciples." The elders felt a tinge of disappointment. But before they could respond, a lady emerged from the ship. She bowed respectfully and said, "Yayao greets Lord Yan Kuang Sheng. I have often heard about you from my father." This young woman was the youngest daughter of Dong Fengyi, the ruler of the Xia Empire. As soon as Kuang Sheng heard this girl, he asked her, "What else did your father say about me? Did he tell you how I taught him everything and beat him till he started crying for his parents?" On hearing this, the girl says that no, it is not like that. "My father tells me that you are the pillar of the empire." Then after this, Kuang Sheng asks all of them whether you all have come here to get the meat of bloodthirsty python for this girl. As soon as the old people hear this, one of them says that please give us some favor, God of Madness. In reply to this, Kuang Sheng tells all of them that hey, don't make too much noise, just take care of yourself and don't get upset with us. Meanwhile, the eyes of the princess fall on RMC, and after seeing RMC, she thinks that this boy looks almost of my age and the mad god has accepted him as his disciple. Is he so talented? In her observation of Lin Moyu, she didn't see anything special about him, which made him wonder if Lin Moyu was really that good just to be accepted by the mad god as his own disciple and brought to that place. While the two sides were talking, they all suddenly felt a strange energy surrounding their ship. This energy was very familiar and disrupted the ship's flight, which made them immediately realize that it seemed to be the work of the monsters inside the Bloody Land. Kuang Sheng immediately knew what kind of enemy they were facing and reminded everyone present that they needed to be careful because the bloodthirsty python was coming in their direction. He knew that he wasn't wrong in what he was saying because it was only about him a while ago and it seemed to be fading now if it was just added to the energy they felt in the room. The bloodthirsty python could quickly cover the distance between it and the ship they were all riding on, including the adults. It was circling the entire ship and its terrifying energy could be felt enveloping the entire area. It seemed that its attention was focused on all of them and they were becoming its target. From what he saw, Kuang Sheng knew that it didn't seem like he and Lin needed to interfere in the next events and informed the elders around him that the two of them were only there to watch the show that the python was coming. The cousins he had received from his opponent, the bloodthirsty python, were still fresh and knew that he would not gain anything from fighting another one and helping these weak creatures. Finally, they began to face each other, and the huge body of the bloodthirsty python could be seen. Its eyes were focused on the ship, and the two sides were now facing each other. The elders' side immediately formed a barrier to protect themselves from the monster's attack. To begin their fight and hunt the python, they immediately release thrusts from their ship where several energy beams hit the python's body. Also due to the damage it receives, the python simply retreats. Its unique appearance where it has horns and tentacles is a characteristic that defines its identity. In the attacks made by the ship, they succeed in penetrating its hard skin and are able to cause sufficient damage. In the wounds they make, its golden blood flows out. It seems that in accepting the attack, they only succeed in angering the python even more, which is now unleashing and waving its tentacles in the direction of the ship. It can use its very long body to repel its enemies and give itself some space to heal. It can only be seen that it is succeeding in what it is doing, and the ship that is trying to approach it is retreating. Lin, who was dazed by this, was forced to adjust his position and protect himself because from what he could feel, the monster they were facing was very strong. He was amazed and asked himself if this was the true power of the god-level monsters that he had not fully expected, and this was his first time seeing it with his own eyes. In his observation, he could not even follow its movements, and its attacks were too fast for his eyes to follow. Apart from this, the unbelievable strength of each blow that he felt in the gust of wind reaching him beyond the barrier that had been set up was also lacking.